it do? What it do? What it do? It's your boy B. Damone and Coach Gomez in the house, and this is episode 107 of Along the Wire. We are here again at Level Up Productions, and this is episode 107, top 25 rankings for the San Antonio High School football area. Now, I'm doing the top 25 rankings solely because why not? If
True.
it's something that hadn't been done before, people always think you're crazy when you try something that hasn't been done before. Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean that it can't be done or that it shouldn't be done. So my mom always told me nothing beats a failure except a try. So if I'm not gonna try it, then I can't say that I've ever attempted it.
Yep.
So that's what's gonna happen. But before all that, it is OU Sucks Week. The Oklahoma Land Thieves up there in that territory that just happens to be blessed to be next to Texas. Texas plays Oklahoma this afternoon. So what's your prediction on that game?
Texas 28-14.
Wow. That's a modest score. I got Texas 51-41. As all the stuff that's been happening at Texas and how they've been looking from week to week, not the best and not playing a complete game versus valid opponents. There is one school that's looked worse. And that school sucks. Very, very appropriately, and I'm glad that we are playing them at a time in which we need to look better because we look better than they do, and I'm looking forward to us displaying that on the field today. So 51-41 is my prediction, and OU sucks, and they'll continue to suck, and they will.
Said 51-41.
Yeah, and they're gonna go 0-3, and I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to watch it. So, we are going to hop right into it. We're going to talk about this first listing first because I forgot to send my graphic in to the producer. So, we have a top 25 ranking for 6A and 5A. And we have got a top 10 ranking, and I do last year I did the first two looking in to the top 10. This year and for the future, I'm going to be doing the next three up of sub 5A. So 4A, 3A, TAPS, all that combined is going to be in that list. And I do that next three because whenever people see a top 10, they're like, oh, my school's left off. It's like, oh, well, you might be in that second tier. So I'm not going to go all the way with the sub 5A, but I'll give you those next three. So the first listing of sub 5A schools, not everybody's played the same amount of games either. So you got to put a lot of stuff into the equations, and I'm a numbers geek, so doing rankings and lists and stuff like this is very intriguing to me. So let's get on to the list. Should I go 1 to 13 or 13 to 1?
13 to 1.
All right. At number 13, we got Central Catholic at 2-0. At number 12, we have Antonian at 2-0. At number 11, we have Randolph at 4-1. Now, those are the three schools that are on that borderline of being top 10. Now, for the top 10 sub 5A week 1-6. That's important because this is our first week of rankings, but it's actually week 6 of the games played as to where people are eligible. And I waited for all the big schools to before I did any rankings. Number 10, Divine, 4-1. Number 9, Bernie, 3-2. Number 8, Hondo, 4-1. Number 7, Fredericksburg, 4-1. Number 6, Jordanton, 5-1. Now for the top 5. Number 5, Wimberley, 5-1. Number 4, Yoakum, 4-0. Number 3, Comfort, 6-0. Number 2, Poth, 5-0. And number 1, San Antonio Cornerstone Christian Academy at 4-1. Now, some of the thoughts, or the first question might be, well, you have a 6-0, 4-0 school. I'm putting a lot of weight on that Cal Allen victory. And this is where, sometimes in the rankings, it's like, oh, well, how this team has a loss. How are they ranked above a team with a loss and stuff like that? There's a such thing as a good loss. If you lose to a school that runs the table after that, or no, if you beat a school that runs a table after that, then there's something about you that has them, that keeps you above them, so to speak. And Cornerstone's one loss is to Trinity Christian, who only has, I think that's they've lost one other game. So Trinity Christian's 5-1 right now, but that's a Dallas school. So, but that's Cornerstone's only loss, and that was a good game. So I mean, that's a good looking loss, but that win over Cal Allen is bigger to me than that loss to Trinity Christian, especially with how Cal Allen rolls. So that is the sub 5A first week of rankings for Along the Wire, but it's actually week 6 of the games being played.
Yep.
I know that we had a conversation about these rankings, because when it gets down to that 5, 6, 7, Jordanton, Fredericksburg, Wimberley, and Hondo, there's a lot of comparability because I think ours are like different. So I mean, like, it's always going to be subjective. So that is the top 13. Now let's get into this top 25 6A 5A. Can we get that graphic up?
It's up.
All right, appreciate it. Now, top 25 6A 5A for San Antonio.
Drum roll, please.
Also 1-6. Man. So, I put this top 10 out. I didn't release the top 25 on Twitter. I put the top 10 out. This top 10 is not your normal top 10. What I will always do, and what I have always thought of, like I said in episode 106, I want to wait until the games are played before putting out a ranking for the first week, period. I've never understood why they did the preseason ranking outside of it being money and stature and at the college level, Bama's number 1, and that's just your place, right? But then what happens when you have schools like Georgia or Florida who normally are ranked high and then they come out and look like crap in that first week? And it's like, oh, well, they dropped from number 4. It's like, well, were they really number 4? Or did y'all just put them there at the beginning of the year and then they drop to number 12? And then they stay in that area of 8 between 15 like all year, or they lose 2 or 3 games and they drop out.
Yeah.
So that's why my top 10 is not like anybody else's in the cities, period. Because I'm waiting for the game to be played before somebody gets their rightful place. And let's get into it. And I'll go 1 through 25, 1 down to 25. Number 1, Bernie Champion. Bernie Champion is number 1 because when you outscore your first 2 teams 90-0,
yeah, no brainer.
No brainer. Number 2, Brandeis. Brandeis beat Harlan, and they were up at one point in that game 35-7. They were handling Harlan. So with all the esteem and the prestige that Harlan had, you weren't feeling that, and it looked like 2 totally different teams when you were looking at them playing on the field.
Oh, yeah. And then what was it, like mid-third quarter, Bransom started switching out his defensive personnel.
Right.
Because there was a time you were like, man, where's Aiden at?
Yeah.
And I was like, where's Jalen at?
Yeah.
Guys were on the sideline getting some rest.
Exactly.
And then they were, just letting the youngsters come in, getting some experience.
So when you're able to
good.
do that, when you're as Brandeis able to do that against a squad that was just in the area finals,
Yeah.
that lets you know something about the game.
Yeah.
I'm able to take my all-state players out. So number 2, Brandeis. Number 3, Brennan, 1-0. Number 4, Johnson with the impressive win over O'Connor, which they looked very crisp, very clean. Shout out Ty. Number 5, Smithson Valley. They were actually 2-0 as they beat a team out of Austin, and then they came out and beat Madison handily. What was that, 24-6 or
yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So Smithson Valley wins. Number 6, Reagan. Reagan came out and beat Steele. Okay.
Made a statement.
Yeah, made a statement. Number 7, Southside. Southside beat Rockport Fulton, who beat Corpus Christi Miller. So it's one of those, it holds a good esteem of a squad. And that was their first game, and that was Rockport's 5th game.
Yep.
So you got to take that into account too.
And they had a great game last night, man. You saw that battle of 1604.
Yeah. We're gonna get into that. Roosevelt at number 8. Number 9, New Braunfels. Number 10, Clemens. So when I dropped that top 10, it was like, okay, there's no Steele, there's no Judson, there's no Harlan. You know what's going on. It's like, well, did you see the first week's games? Like, that's why I was waiting. Because what happens if I put those traditional schools at rankings at which they're perceived in the city?
Yeah. Let them work from behind once, 1 year.
And
ain't gonna kill them.
And that's what the cream's always going to rise to the top. If you're a school that is a traditional powerhouse, then a week 1 ranking,
it's not gonna hurt you.
Exactly. So let's get into what most people never see is 11 through 25. So that's what we're going to get into as well. My overall thought is you have to respect schools' wins. You have to respect the school's wins. So number 11, Marshall, 1-0.
Marshall's back.
Number 12, Warren at 1-0. Number 13, Stevens, 1-0. Number 14, Churchill, 1-0. Number 15, I have Harlan at 0-1. That's the team that lost to Brandeis in week 1. Number 16, Cibolo Steel. Just talked about them losing to Reagan. Number 17, O'Connor. Just talked about them losing to Johnson. Number 18, Judson. This is where Judson was at to me. You go up and you take on DeSoto in Dallas, a reinvigorated program with just as much history behind it as Judson has. And they actually have 18 D1 players on their squad. So the actual outcome of that game was 37-0.
Yep.
So if I'm having two schools that are perceived to be powerhouses go up against each other and the game turns out to not be that, that's going to sting you, period. So not only do I have to respect the team's wins, I have to acknowledge your loss.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Judson at 18. Number 19, Madison. Just talked about them. They lost to Smithson Valley, 0-1. Number 20, Taft, 0-1. They lost to Marshall that first week. Hard fought game, 21-14, I think was the score. So that was a precursor. Number 21, Floresville, 1-1. Great running back Darian Murphy ran for over 200 yards again. So Floresville at 1-1. Also, when it comes to the outside schools that are outside of 1604, I will take into account of keeping stuff that's inner city closer to inner city, unless that school out of town is just a monster. So I do. Is that a bias? I guess somewhat a bias. So yeah. So just letting you know, the closer you are to downtown San Antonio, the better opportunity you have of representing the San Antonio top 25, I guess, so to speak. But you're perceived to be in the area, so I do respect that. So yeah. Number 21, Floresville. 22, East Central, 0-1. 23, Holmes. When's the last time anybody saw? I hadn't seen Holmes in the rankings since I was in high school.
I think you just put it in there to be nice. You got ties over there, man.
Look, no, I put him. No, do you know what I really put him in there for? You know how many games it took them to score a touchdown last year?
9 games, probably.
Exactly. So for them to score 20 points, I'm acknowledging you, Holmes. I'm acknowledging you, Holmes. Like, you deserve that. You put up 20 points. You know, I was honestly, I turned around and looked at Stevens. I was like, hold on. This squad didn't score for 8-9 weeks last year, and they got 20 on you?
Yeah.
So that thought did cross my mind. Just being transparent. Anyway, number 24, Clark, and number 25, MacArthur. And I put MacArthur there. Yes, they did lose 55-0. But they rounded out my top 25 because that was a beast that they went up against. So it's not like, man, you know, it's just, it is what it is sometimes. And there are schools, I never get the schools that haven't played a game that get ranked, period. Like, even when you look at the NCAA rankings now, they still got Ohio State up there. They still got Oregon up there. For what?
Yeah.
What have they proven this year? Nothing. So when they play, then insert them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. My logic is what makes this list. So there is your city top 25 for San Antonio, Texas, week 1. And I will be putting these lists out on the Monday after. So this is Saturday morning. Games were played Thursday and Friday. There's some Saturday night games, and we're going to be at a game tonight. So tomorrow, Sunday, while everybody's watching football, I'm going to be putting these rankings together, and Monday morning I will release them. The top 25 for San Antonio, Texas from along the wire. The top 25 for 6A, 5A, and the top 10 and the first 3 out for sub 5A. So I'm doing my research. I'm trying to put my best foot forward with this and just do something for the city that hadn't been done before. Because when people see those top 10s, there's more to the city than just those 10 schools.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel if there's any parents out there, coaches or players that feel that they should be in that top 25, man, go ahead and DM us.
Exactly.
Put your votes in.
Exactly.
That's the way,
because and the thing about it is with us really is not only are we looking at the outcome, but like we spoke about it, how does a school look out there on the field? Are there tendencies that they have? I got to put that into the ranking as well and look at their schedule coming up. Like, there's a lot that goes into the gumbo before you get to eat it.
Yep.
You know, so
because I'm gonna put a vote in for Alamo Heights School,
right?
This top 25,
right? I believe. Exactly. So these schools that drop out of the top 25, I'm gonna have to go in there and look at them. I'm looking at the wins and losses, who they played, how they look. I'll go through and see what the score was during this time. Was the game did you win 24-21, but you didn't score those 24 points until the fourth quarter?
Cleanup time or something, yeah.
Exactly. So, a team like that, you could be like, oh, well, they never quit.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, they just don't start until the fourth quarter. It's not about not quitting.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But once again, just like Coach Gomez says, if there's any players, coaches, parents feel like their school needs to be looked at, DM me, DM us. We will conversate. I'm never opposed to anybody having their thoughts about the rankings. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's converse. Let's keep talking San Antonio high school football. That's what I'm here for anyway, period. So there's your top 25. And we're going to end this segment and get into our pick'ems and see what we think we know.
Yeah.
All right, so we will be right back. Thank you for being with us. Hey, what it do? What it do? It is B. Damone and Coach Gomez, and we are back. This segment, we are going to get into our pick'ems. Just something that we decided to do just to see what we think we know and or what we feel and about the games coming up for the week.
Yeah.
So
spice it up a little bit.
Exactly. Because we always have the conversations. Well, how do you feel about this team this week? How do you feel about this? So let's just
make it into a segment.
Exactly. So and we will get the segment together a lot better than this because I didn't pick as many as Coach did. Coach went through the whole gauntlet, so you're gonna see his picks all there. So
you didn't read the fine print at the bottom. That's what it was. You got to follow directions, Brandon.
See, so actually, let's start. Shout out to KSAT 12. We'll start at the top of the list with Floresville. We'll just run through them.
So I had Floresville winning that game, and we all know Legacy pulled it out at the end.
Legacy pulled it out. Actually, that game came down to a 2-point conversion try at the end.
Yep.
And Legacy stopped Floresville.
Yep.
So 0-1 for both of us
on that one.
Medina Valley versus Veterans Memorial. I had Veterans Memorial.
I had Veterans Memorial.
All right. So Veterans Memorial won that one 38-10. Let me fix this screen. All right. Churchill John Jay. Who did you have?
Churchill.
That was my upset pick. I was expecting John Jay to edge it out versus Churchill, and Churchill won that game 38-21. So, see, that's another school. Stevens versus Warren.
I had Stevens.
Did you?
Yep.
Let me see.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I had Stevens as well. And that game was a good game for us to be at and see.
Oh, yeah.
I specifically went to that game because, like I said, between them and John Jay, that was like a round robin for that last playoff spot last year. So I wanted to see which of these two teams would separate themselves from the other because traditionally they are that last playoff spot that is up for grabs in that district. So seeing that Stevens very well separated themselves, and like the tweet that I put out when Coach Gomez told me while we're sitting on the sidelines, momentum is real.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they were down 14-0.
Yeah, they were down.
When I got there, mid first quarter.
Right.
They had been down already 14-0, and then all of a sudden they came back with was it a block punt, I believe?
Yes.
Or was it a fumble or something like that?
Yeah.
And then from there, that momentum just changed.
45 points in a row.
Yeah. Ethan Gonzalez had a hell of a game. 7 receptions for 191 yards. You had Jeremiah Mr. Elliott jump in there with 4 receptions for 78 yards.
Some key catches.
Exactly. What I was most impressed though about was that defensive line. You had Joshua Gonzalez and Anthony Adams controlling that line of scrimmage, man, all night long. They were up in that quarterback's face from Warren all night long.
Martinez, yeah.
Yeah, but overall, it was a great team victory for the Falcons. I believe that they attacked at all phases of the game, and they capitalized off the mistakes as well.
All right. And the punter even capitalized off his snapper's mistakes.
Hey, but when we're standing there on that sideline, that punter had a little swag to him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
A little cockiness. I think at one point I heard him say, man, I'll try a 51. And then the other kid that was standing next to him, man, he's like, can you make a 51? He was like, you don't know unless you try.
Exactly.
So I like the confidence that kid had.
Exactly. So, did you pick a game between Ingram Moore and Sonora? Did you pick that one?
Yes, sir.
Who'd you have?
We missed the Shiner and Shiner St. Paul Holy Cross before that.
I don't have that one on here.
Yeah, it's on the list. It should be Warren Stevens, and then you got Shiner St. Paul versus Holy Cross.
I guess they moved it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, who'd you have on that one?
I had Holy Cross.
I would have picked Holy Cross, but let's not go into the would have because I didn't pick it at all.
But from the Ingram Moore and Sonora, I had Ingram Moore.
Okay.
Who ended up winning that one?
Sonora 28-13.
Okay.
Central Catholic St. Thomas.
I had Central Catholic. St. Thomas ended up winning that one.
31-14. Cornerstone versus Legacy Christian.
I had Cornerstone.
Cornerstone won 44-7. Yorktown Pettis.
Yorktown
won 51-7. Charlotte versus Benavides.
I had Charlotte.
Charlotte won 58-0. Alamo Heights versus Buda Johnson.
Alamo Heights.
Alamo Heights won 27-20. Medina versus Prairie Lee.
Hold on, go back. Let me see. Medina. They threw off my order. I had. Hold on. Where did they put them at?
Okay, so Medina versus Prairie Lee. Who you got?
Medina.
Bowling versus Yoakum.
Yoakum
won 23-3. Medina won 52-6. By the way. Orange Grove versus Goliad.
Orange Grove
won 50-26. Austin Eastside versus Navarro. Did you really have Navarro? They won 94-0. Kerrville Tivy versus Colleen Shoemaker. You picked against Kerrville Tivy?
Yeah.
Good decision. Colleen Shoemaker won 56-35. Southwest versus Kyle Lehman. He's coming up with his pick right now.
No, I'm not. I'm going down looking for the.
Did he turn this in?
I did, right, Joe?
Yeah, man. He turned it in. He didn't. You know, Brandon couldn't cheat off of you this week.
No, he couldn't. He sees a lot of checks. That's why he sees me winning.
He was looking over your shoulder. Not this week, man. Not this week.
He sees me winning. All right, so where we at? Southwest who?
Southwest versus Kyle Lehman.
I don't know where I'm missing this at. I think I might have picked. Hold on.
I picked Southwest.
Did you?
Yes.
I may have picked Southwest, but for some reason, unless I'm missing it, I'm not seeing it here.
He's hoping for a push right now.
Yeah, come on, Joe, help me out. Let me see. I don't know what I did with it, man.
What's he looking for?
Southwest Kyle Lehman.
I know I thought I had sent it to you.
You sent me 8.
Southwest. Is that it? No.
But see, the list did change up.
It did, right? A little bit.
Yeah. Hold on. Go back. Boom.
All right.
You picked Kyle Lehman, and Kyle Lehman won 26-20. I picked Southwest.
All right. So, man, there's a lot of wins on mine.
Let's move on.
Take a look right here, B.
I think Brandon needs to give you your 20, man.
Yeah. We got Corpus Christi St. John Paul II versus St. Anthony. Who'd you pick?
St. John Paul.
St. John Paul won 35-9. Bernie Champion versus Colleen Harker. I had Bernie Champion. Who did you have?
I had Bernie Champion. They lost. Right.
Bernie Champion lost 20-14. Louise versus Falls City. Who did you have?
Louise
lost 47-0. Bloomington versus Kennedy. Shout out Bloomington. Kennedy won 44-0. Let's get it. Mason versus Harper. Who'd you have?
Harper.
Mason won 67-0.
Okay.
Karn City versus Stockdale was canceled.
Okay.
Poth versus Georgia West. Who'd you have?
Poth
Both won 49-10. Randolph versus Lytle. Who'd you have?
Man, that one disappointed me. I thought Randolph was gonna win. I think Lytle won that one.
Lytle won 21-20. It's so funny, like running off these small schools, because I went to a smaller school here in San Antonio and playing these small schools. I'm like, I don't like that school. I don't like that. And Lytle's one of those schools I don't like. Cole versus Jordanton. Jordanton won 51-0. Marion versus Catula. Marion won 41-34. Pearsall versus Hondo.
I picked Hondo.
You sure?
Yeah, and they lost, right?
Hondo won 52-0.
Yeah. You said I'm sure.
Come on, man. You got to make it interesting. Carrizo Springs played them in. No, I played the Ranches Pass. Carrizo Springs versus Divine. Who'd you have?
Divine.
Divine won 63-21. Used to beat Divine. Crystal City versus Bandera. Who'd you have?
Crystal City versus Bandera. I knew I had seen that one. Went with Bandera.
Bandera lost 22-19.
Wow, that's a shocker.
Wimberley versus Manor New Tech.
Wimberley.
Wimberley won Michael Irvin to 0. 88 for those of you who don't know. Gonzalez versus Giddings. Who'd you have?
I had Giddings coming on.
Giddings won 47-31. LaGrange versus Cuero. Who'd you have?
I should have went with my gut feeling in the beginning with Cuero, but I went with LaGrange, and I believe Cuero won that game.
Cuero did win 38-27. The Gobblers? You went against the Gobblers?
Yeah, yep.
Uvalde versus Lavernia. Who'd you have?
I actually went with Lavernia, man, and I think they ended up losing that as well.
Lavernia won.
Did they?
49-22.
Okay, yeah, I did go with Lavernia.
49-22. Bernie versus Pleasanton. Who'd you have?
Bernie
won 45-20. They're going to be a school that's a good 2 or 3 loss team.
Yeah.
Because when you look at how they lost those 2 games by a total of 5 points,
yeah,
that's just Burnett versus Fredericksburg. Who'd you have?
Fredericksburg
lost 21-3. Canyon Lake versus Austin LBJ.
I had Austin LBJ.
Austin LBJ won 21-14. Here we go. Southside versus Somerset. I had Southside.
I had Southside as well.
Okay.
Come
Southside
on,
won 33-0. Steele versus East Central. Who'd you have?
Steele.
I had Cibolo Steele myself. Cibolo Steele won 24-6. Taft versus Harlan. Who did you have?
Man, don't even remind me right now. I had Harlan.
Well, lucky for me, I picked Harlan as well, and Harlan lost 28.
You said lucky for me? Why? It's because you see a lot of wands on here. That's why.
28-7. Congratulations, Taft. Y'all beat Harlan. Man. O'Connor and Marshall, who did you have?
That was a shocker too, man. I had O'Connor.
I had O'Connor as well. Congratulations, Marshall. Marshall won 36-33. Brandeis versus MacArthur, who'd you have?
Brandeis.
I had Brandeis as well. Brandeis won 35-7. Lee versus Johnson, who did you have?
Johnson.
I had Johnson as well. Johnson won 42-7. All right, we're winding down the last couple of games. Natalia versus Nixon Smiley.
I went with Nixon Smiley.
You're going to also go with the L, sir. Natalia wins 43-21.
Who did you have?
I didn't pick that one. I didn't pick that one. I did not pick that one. Comfort versus Lano.
Man, that one was surprising, bro. I'm a Comfort fan, and the Comfort deer lost.
Yeah. Mm. The Bobcats lost.
The Bobcats.
They were deer that night. They were deer that night.
Deer in headlights that night, right?
Exactly. Lano won that one 49-17. Yeah, I did not expect that. And I was actually talking with some people on the sidelines with some camera crew who was like, "Man, that squad is well put together."
You know, I'm glad they had at least a loss early in the season instead of in the playoffs.
Right,
Maybe
exactly.
they can make their adjustments.
Exactly. You know, because there's always something that maybe you need to tweak and something that you're working on that you just can't get right, and a certain team exposes that, and it's like, see, I've been telling y'all. You know,
for sure.
So maybe that was it. So if a state title comes from a loss right now,
take it.
Take it. So Antonian versus San Antonio Christian Schools. Who'd you have?
Antonian.
They sacks.
Okay.
49-10. So congratulations, Antonian. Judson versus New Braunfels. Who did you have?
Judson.
You took Judson?
Yeah.
I took Judson as well. 37-14. Judson wins, and that is the last game. The game's coming up tonight, though. We'll go over. Okay. Let's do this right now. I haven't made this selection, and they haven't played yet because they're playing tonight. Bruni versus D. Haynes. Who do you have?
D. Haynes.
I'm taking Bruni just to be contrarian. And I got to make some type of comeback. He's got all these wins. Brennan versus Holmes.
I'm going to go with Brennan.
I'm going with
Brennan.
Holmes? I'm going with Brennan. I'm going with Brennan.
No, you're going with Holmes because you got him in the top 25. You said
I'm
they
going
showed
with
you.
Brennan.
Okay.
I'm going with Brennan. Clark versus Reagan.
I'm going with Reagan.
I'm going with Reagan as well. Madison versus Roosevelt.
That is going to be a good one, but I'm going to have to go with the ties that I got at Madison, bro.
You know what? I'm going Roosevelt.
Go Roosevelt.
I'm going to go Roosevelt. I got to be contrarian, man. I got to be contrarian. I got to catch up somehow. Of course, I'm not going to be happy if Madison loses. I'm going to be happy if Roosevelt loses.
You're not gonna catch up if you pick Roosevelt.
Well, I'm going Roosevelt.
Okay,
Let's see.
Madison.
Let's see what happens tonight. We will be at that game. You know what? Let's cut this segment. I like this pick'em. So we will be right back and talk about the games that we attended and talk a little bit more about the football scene here and expectation. So it's going down. We will be right back.
Stay tuned.
What it do? We are back. It is B. Damone and Coach Gomez, and we're going to talk a little bit about the games that we attended and what we saw and perceptions in the city, because there's a lot bubbling right now. Last night was a big night in San Antonio high school football.
Yeah.
I don't know if people want to say it was like a wave change or something's happening or there's something in the water. Because we know there's something in the water over by Houston because, you know, they don't want people to drink the water over there right now. But what's going on in San Antonio high school football? First off, I want to say something. Whoever is in charge of the Wi-Fi out at Rutledge Stadium, thank you, because it's been the best. Last night, I actually was able to tweet out highlights and it not take up like 3/4 of my battery just sending out a couple of tweets. So whatever y'all did to upgrade that Wi-Fi out there, thank you. Because the last 3 years, I've had to wait till I get home to send out highlights. So whoever's all over the Wi-Fi over there at Rutledge now, great job. Get a raise. Copy this.
Get a raise.
You know, I mean,
see what you started. That guy's gonna show up over there to the AD or principal or somebody with the paper. Brandon from along the way said I should get a raise. These videos are going out a lot faster.
Exactly. Because, I mean, like, honestly, I was thinking that that's one of the worst stadiums to have to use your phone because it drains your battery so fast. Now, whoever did the Wi-Fi, put your energy into that elevator because that elevator takes like 20 minutes to get to the 3rd floor. So increase the speed on that Judson. And everybody knows who goes to Rutledge Stadium. Come on, get that elevator to go faster. I had a lady in there who was like, if they just put stairs to the 2nd floor, I'd be happy because it'd be faster taking the stairs than this elevator. So, yeah, shout out to the Wi-Fi guy. Now, the game. We talked a little bit about the Stevens-Warren game.
Yeah.
That was good to see. Leonard Adams hit me up, said I'm still not being tested. So, throw it, Leonard. Throw it, Leonard schools. If you want to.
Yeah.
If you want to. So, hey, that first quarter was ugly football.
Yeah.
And I think that I even had somebody come up to me and talk to me about that. They were like, that was hard to watch that first quarter, but second quarter on, man, it was just like night and day.
Yeah.
It was night and day. And one thing you got to keep in mind is that during this pandemic, some schools might not look how they would look in normal years because they haven't had the reps at all. When you're constantly being told, okay, stuff is pushed back, or you have this start date, but you can't practice until this date, then what do you do to get that chemistry going that you normally would have had if you have that time together and to be in pads and to work on plays? So I can understand there being spurts of or inconsistencies, and that's one thing that I'm going to have to keep in mind when I see stuff, because that reared its head again in the Smithson Valley Wagner game to me once we get to that. But what were a couple of takeaways? I know you went into it a little bit in the previous segment on the players who stood out to you, but overall with that information, what does that mean for Stevens to you? Now Stevens won, they're 2-0. They separated themselves from Warren, and they're 2-0 in that district that Harlan was perceived to be.
Yeah.
Now Harlan's 1-1. You got Taft 1-1. You got Marshall 2-0.
Yeah.
I sent out a tweet, said I felt like it's 2000 all over again.
Yeah. No, I definitely see Stevens as a complete team right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with inside their district. There are going to be some little questions come playoff time, though.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that they do have somewhat of a passing game going, but if that quarterback can get, sharpen up his skills a little bit.
KK Brashear.
Yes, right before playoff time, I think that'll help him out tremendously.
Right.
Because when he did pass, he was effective.
Yes.
Especially
he threw a pretty deep ball.
Yeah, he had a decent deep ball. I think when they get the hands into Ethan Gonzalez's hand, it helps him out a lot better. And not only that, with Jeremiah, man, that dude's a big frame. He's like 6'3", good tight end. Showed some toughness, explosiveness, has great hands, soft hands. There was also some passes that should have been thrown that QB didn't see. But I think as the season goes along, like I said, if they can get that passing game up a little bit better, I think it'll be all right.
Right.
And then that defense, man, I like the defense right now.
And something to complement his running ability and their running game, period, because you do see that they look like they want to run the ball first.
Yes, they do.
And then they go to the pass if they have to. And then some of the play calling, some of those screens that they called were good, but it wasn't the cleanest looking plays. And that's where I get into that thought of, they haven't had time to look, because some screenplays can look so beautiful if they're done right. And it's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Not like we're running the play and you can tell it's coming.
And you're right, because they did sniff it out. Warren did sniff it out, but Jeremiah being a big body, I mean, that dude just beasted his way, the rest of the way, because he broke at least 2 or 3 tackles before he actually broke it out and scored the touchdown.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, they're a better team than Warren is what I can say.
Yeah.
And given that performance, I'd like to see what they do against Taft, seeing Taft coming off of beating Harlan. And honestly, this does make Harlan a little bit more intriguing, seeing them lose to Taft, because you wonder what's happening, because the expectation rightfully earned. Now, because I've gotten some messages of y'all pumped Harlan up. No, Harlan earned whatever expectation they were given going up to 6A.
Yeah.
Now, expectation and what happens on the field, just like when I talked about the rankings, is different when you get out there. And with how they came back versus Brandeis, they made that comeback happen.
Yeah.
So I have to give them props on that, because you don't just put up 28 points on Brandeis.
Yeah.
I think the only team that scored 28 points on Brandeis last year was Austin Westlake.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well,
whatever.
I know that Taft Harlan game. I don't want to say it on the air, but I believe there's other things that played a factor.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to wait till it's set in stone before
Right.
we actually discuss it.
Exactly.
But I know there was some other things that was the reasoning why they weren't able to put up some points like they did.
Right. So we want to wait for the stuff to come out, but hats off to Taft anyway, because you have to put that best foot forward, and Harlan's going to be getting everybody's best shot.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And they had a strong running game, and I want to get more of the stats from that game and get a better clue. I can't wait till I see the film on it. I just want to see what's going on, because obviously that's the question. You have Harlan at 0-2 now. So that district,
it's gonna be shaken up.
yeah, and it's up in the air.
Yep.
So hey, what if Taft is one of those schools that ends up making the list?
Anything can happen right now the way it's looking, boss.
Exactly. So, let's move on to. You want to talk about the Central Catholic game?
Sure.
Okay. So you made the trip down to Houston, and you saw Central Catholic versus Saint Thomas. Craig Biggio's school, if you didn't know. Go ahead.
No, Central Catholic St. Thomas started off pretty good. They're throwing some blows back and forth in the first quarter, second quarter. Then Central Catholic, they were having some issues defending the pass. Of course, you have Maddox Cop on that side, who's committed to U of H.
Right.
Then you got Drake Martinez, who I believe is I think Colorado commit, maybe. Colorado commit, and then you had Cameron Price, number 3, who was really impressive out there. St. Thomas has a potent offense. Defensively, they had number 44, Adam. I don't want to mess up his last name. I think it's DeRoches. Guy was setting the tone.
Mm-hmm.
Great linebacker, playing sideline to sideline. Stuffed the run really well. But yeah, I think what happened really was, Central Catholic needed to keep that potent offense off the field, which they started off with a real long drive in the beginning. Looked like that was the game plan,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason, there was some big catches that could have continued drives.
Right.
And which really killed the drive, which mean on third down, end up having a punt. But you take those out, you complete those third downs, you have a ball game.
Right.
But hats off to St. Thomas. Hats off to Central. I know they're still figuring that out over there, and overall it was a great game.
Nice.
Great game.
Good. Glad you were able to make it back.
Yeah, we got home like about 2:00 yesterday.
See?
2:00.
Yeah. So last night while you were there, I was at the Wagner Smithson Valley game. That was an incredible game, and Wagner was in the same situation as Harlan was, and they had been at 5A. Now they're coming back up to 6A. And Smithson Valley welcomed them. There was some hitting going on in that game. Shout out to out the 210 on Twitter. Make sure you follow him. There's some good clips that he had of that game. You had Smithson Valley with Jalen Nutt at quarterback. You had Wagner, L.J. Butler, Isaiah Williams, and you had Alex Bolden on the defense, and all of them made plays. Wagner was able to take advantage of turnovers early, and they hopped out to a 15-3 lead. And they held that lead up until the fourth quarter when Smithson Valley came back. And then I made a tragic error. I made a tragic error because there's certain schools, and this is also happens with Wagner. There's certain schools, they run the triple option over at Wagner. But when you have situations when you're going to have to throw the football, you want to make sure that you give your quarterback that opportunity to do that. And my only gripe with the Wagner offense, I liked everything with it, was when it comes to those moments, that line has got to understand the difference in their scheming run blocking and pass blocking. Because when you got somebody like Trey Moore, who's going to blow up your play even if you know how to pass block, when you don't and you don't do it effectively, your quarterback's at risk. Trey had a couple of sacks, a forced fumble, tackles for loss. He's hard to handle, but when it comes to those moments in which your offense needs that on a 4th and 6, you want to make sure that your line is competent enough to pull that play off, and that a lot of times doesn't come across as the case when it comes to the Wagner offense. If anything, and from your coach's point of view, if I'm leaving the game and I'm saying this in my head, I'm like, well, hell, Nebraska, Tommy Frazier, I'm thinking of all these quarterbacks who are in a similar system, and but they still have that ability to be in that play and drop back and throw the football. You know, I'm not telling you to tell me what the coaches should do, but if that thought pops up in your head, what happens with that capability when your scheme is one way and then you need something else to happen within it?
I mean, you're right. Tommy Frazier and them they used to run the ball back then when they had Lawrence Phillips and all that, right? They need to utilize probably their tight end a little bit more on some streaks. If you're trying to say some passing or maybe some outs,
right?
Where they still be able to fake the handoff coming in to play action, where he kind of drops back, pulls, and then would throw over.
Right.
You can also have something where your running back, one of the backside running backs, does the wheel. You know what I mean? So I see what you're saying, because you got to have all that stuff in your arsenal because you never know what you're going to face.
Exactly.
You don't want to be driving up plays on the sideline.
Because, I mean, like, Wagner for the past couple of years, be it penalties or whatever, they've always had the talent to be able to overcome being behind in distance.
Let me ask you this. I know last year and the years before that, whenever they needed a huge pay, they would look to
Cobbs.
Right. How was it not having Cobbs in there? Like how did you think, like, from the sideline, how were they?
A lot more confined. As far as, I don't think the defense thought about a receiver at all, but I'm not sure if the play calling would even lead you to do that in the first place.
Got you.
Because, I mean, they could keep him split out wide, and you're going to have to respect them with 2, possibly 3 people on that side. But then they had Brown as well. So I'm kind of looking for that person or those 2 people who are going to step up and not be Josh Cobbs and Brown, but present that threat to where you have to be respected.
Let me ask you this. How about that one receiver we saw? Was it 82?
Matthew Sam.
Was he able to get open because they didn't respect the pass because there was no Cobbs out there? Because they were playing run probably the whole time? They were thinking run?
Well, that was actually a passing down.
Was it?
That was a passing down, and that was a straight drop back. That was a straight drop back, and Isaiah made the throw, and Matthew made the catch.
Gotcha.
And then also, and as I saw in their play to force the game into overtime, he was able to go up and get it, but that was just off of their regular offensive scheme, which I was glad to see because I left the game when it was 4th and 6, and they had to run a pass play, and they roll Isaiah out to the left, and it seemed like nobody blocked.
Yeah.
But it seemed that way, but when you look back at it, you see them looking around, but their guys are already past them. So I'm like, where are your eyes at? Where are your responsibilities at when you're on the line? Think of Comfort. Comfort,
Yeah.
when they know what their assignments are.
Yeah, for sure.
So at this level, that should be instilled up there. You should never have 3 guys running free at your quarterback, and your O lineman just lost.
Yeah.
Just lost. And I don't mean to talk about it like Wagner lost the game, but when you have expectations like Wagner does, and you're coming off being the state semifinalist twice, there's some things that you get comfortable with, seeing them having winning traits, and
it's expectations already set.
It's expectations.
They set that bar with you already. That's what you expect year in, year out.
Yeah. And and even with them coming up playing Smithson Valley, I think this was a perfect example, because Smithson Valley's O-line is crazy. So seeing that Wagner's defensive line was able to hold up against that offensive line, props to that D-line. Props to Alex Bolden. They kept pressure on the quarterback. And shout out to the backup quarterback who came in for Jalen, Jacob Cernhouse. I want to make sure I'm saying your name right. He had the touchdown pass to Maverick Freeland. He threw a nice looking deep ball. One of the things, like you had said about the Central Catholic game, same thing reared its head for Smithson Valley. Smithson Valley had 4 or 5 deep bombs hit people in the hands, and it was dropped. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, do they have that opportunity to work into that system of being comfortable having that chemistry? Because those three of the 4 or 5 balls were boom right there.
Yeah, I mean, that
in
can
stride.
That can kill you, and that can kill a drive. Like for instance, last night, your 3rd down,
and that gives a defense confidence of, okay, I know not to make that mistake again.
Yep. No, like last night we had they started off 5 for 5 on 3rd downs, and then all of a sudden it went 0 for 4 on 3rd downs. So those 0 for 4s, I mean, that 3rd down can keep that drive alive. I mean, you're going and you're marching downfield, you're 10, 12 plays into it, and then you break down on that 3rd down, and it can kill a team. Yeah. And when you go 0-3 on 3rd down, 0-4 on 3rd downs, it makes a hell of a difference.
Big time. So once again, congratulations to Wagner. Congratulations to Stevens and St. Thomas on their victories. This is a very pivotal time in San Antonio high school football. I don't think there's a change of the guard, but it's 2020, so you really never know what's going on. I guess it's now focused on San Antonio high school football. I mean, you don't get Judson getting shut out, then they come back. You don't get or you haven't gotten Harlan looking 0-2 when last year they only lost 1 game.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy time in San Antonio high school football. Make sure y'all are keeping your eyes on it. We are going to make sure that we are keeping you with the best information and giving you the honest, real views of it. Never critical. We all understand that it takes a team effort, and we want to see San Antonio schools do better. One thing that I want to make sure that is noted is whenever we do talk about stuff, we don't have any dogs in the fight. We it's not a y'all always pick against us type thing. No. I mean, we have no stake in anything.
No.
We just want to see the best football played here in San Antonio. Whenever schools, it's always funny because whenever you have the schools here in the city, it's like, oh, well, y'all are Northeast guys, or y'all are any district that's not the district of the school that we're talking about. But the second y'all San Antonio schools hop outside of San Antonio, y'all better believe we ride 100%. So we love all of y'all, and we enjoy what we do, and we're gonna continue to bring you the real. Let's go ahead and close out now.
Cool. And SAISD will be out there shortly, man. As soon as
Definitely.
as soon as y'all get rolling, I know we've been hitting the north side and but
Trust.
trust. We'll be out there.
Trust.
We'll be out
Trust.
there.
Trust.
We want to give everybody love. We want to give everybody some.
Shout out to West Campus, Coach Gonzalez.
There you go. We'll be out
No school's not gonna be, seen. Even going out to Marion, we're gonna make sure that that the smaller schools get coverage as well as best we can. I think this year has given us that opportunity to do so as well, given the pandemic and stuff, and them starting before the larger schools. It's allowed me to open up my focus even more for the podcast, because the last 2 years I hadn't even reported on anything less than a 5A school.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
baby steps, man.
Exactly.
You start spreading yourself more and more across the city.
But I love the expectation of it.
Oh yeah.
When you start getting the questions of why don't you this, why don't you that, you're interested, you're following, you're understanding, and you want to see stuff from along the wire, and we appreciate it. And we're gonna do our best, but everything does take time, like Coach Gomez just said. And that's the interactions that we want. When these videos go up, let us know. Comment in the videos. Let us know what you want to talk about. Let us know who's a player that we need to watch out for. We grind and look and get bugs put in our ears about stuff, but we're never gonna want to shortchange it. Okay, we're never gonna shortchange it. Like, subscribe the YouTube channel Along the Wire, and follow us on Twitter. Me at BDamone, Coach Gomez
at STX7V7.
7v7. And I can't wait to get back in here for the next episode.
Oh yeah,
new rankings coming out Monday. OU sucks today and every day. What time is it? OU sucks. It goes down here in San Antonio, Texas. High school football, it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for watching the episode, and we will be back. Hook 'em, birds up. 210, we out.